And we can get more now from Rio and cross live now to Orla Shenaway, who's at the Olympic Park for us. Good afternoon, Orla, or good morning to you. Lots to talk about. Let's start with security, though. Been one of the issues surrounding the Games, of course. Have there been many problems so far, though?
Yes, Joe, we can bring you some breaking news, actually. Our security sources here in Rio tell us that 3 foreign tourists were kidnapped in Rio last night. We understand they were travelling in an Uber taxi on a main express road going from the city centre out to the Baja area, which is where we are, the main Olympic area. According to the Uber taxi driver, they stopped to take pictures and then were approached by armed men who kidnapped them and took them to a local favela. Now, the road they were travelling on overlooks one of the most dangerous favelas in Rio. The understanding is that they were taking pictures into the favela, and according to media reports, they may have been taking pictures of drug lords at the time. Armed men who weren't to be messed with. Now, we know that the elite troop of the military here, BOPE, were involved in the release of those 3 tourists, and we understand that they are now safe. Now, according to media reports, we understand them to be Swedish, and we know that the Swedish Foreign Office is currently investigating. The problem with this is that kidnapping is not seen to be a big problem in Rio de Janeiro, despite the recent high-profile case involving Bernie Ecclestone's mother-in-law. Every security briefing we have had has been in relation to petty theft, and of course we know that there is a heightened risk of a terror attack. Kidnapping, though, would be something unusual, something new. Now, we have filmed in favelas a number of times over the years, and every time when we are told to put our cameras away, you simply obey instructions. You must have respect for the locals here, and if nothing else, that is what this serves as a timely reminder of. Yes, we're all operating in an Olympic bubble, but we're living in a very real, alive city, and you must have respect for that and take extra precautions. So once we get more detail on this kidnapping of 3 foreign tourists, we'll bring it to you as soon as we can.
OK, Orla, let's move on to talk about Lizzie Armitstead. She's arrived in Rio. What will her focus be on now that she's in Brazil?
Well, Joe, you won't be surprised to hear her focus will be on racing, and racing alone. She has 3 days until the women's road race gets underway. She flew here to Rio last night, landed at the airport at about 8 o'clock local time, made her way fairly swiftly through the airport. No time to stop to talk to media, as you would imagine. A little smile, though, for Olympic staff waiting there. She was whisked off then to her accommodation, where she will have been settling in overnight and getting ready for the task ahead. She'll be spending the next few days training on the roads of Rio de Janeiro and really just hoping to put this whole incident behind her. However, she is a high-profile member of Team GB. She is world champion. Plenty of questions will still be asked, but for Lizzie Armitstead, it's all about the racing.
And of course, one of the other issues that's dominated the build-up to the Games is the Russian doping, but there's been some good news for them today, hasn't there?
Yes, there has. The International Olympic Committee 3-person panel has delivered its first verdict that we know of on members of the Russian team, and they have approved 11 Russian boxers to stay here in Rio. You may remember this IOC panel was set up at the weekend to have the final say on each one of the 250 or so Russian athletes competing here. They said they would review each one of them case by case on an individual basis, and we now know the first of those verdicts, they have given the athletes the go-ahead. Now, we've still got some 239-odd athletes for them to judge on, but if this is anything to go by, then it seems that the IOC will be respecting the decisions of the international federations who allowed the Russian athletes who've gotten this far to be able to compete. They have deemed them clean. Now, later this afternoon, we will have Russia House opening. Every federation here, every country opens their own national house to welcome their athletes, to welcome their fans. It's the turn of Russia House opening this afternoon, so we should be hearing from their point of view how the Russian Olympic team are building up to these Games and trying to avoid the many distractions they find themselves surrounded by.
OK, Orla, for now, thank you very much.